is Evan Bartholomew. I produce music under the name Bluetech as well as a few other aliases. I've been on tour. Today is day 38 of 40 days, so I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I did about 3 weeks with Ott and Enemy Bell on the East Coast in a big tour bus, which was a completely new experience for me, actually. Like living in a bus with 6 people. Actually preferable to flights and hotels. Like finish my set at the end of the night, go back to the bus, climb in my little bunk, close it, and have my little coffin to live in for 6 to 8 hours until we arrive at the next city. So Basement Dubs came out, I want to say about 10 weeks ago. It was a collection of tracks that I put together to help raise funds for conversion of my studio space in Hawaii to a solar studio. It's kind of been a project that I've been working on a couple years, saving money, trying to get funds together to build the structure and go off grid with it. So the Basement Dubs release was created as a fundraiser for that. Dreaming Into Being is a full-length ambient album I created that in my own way is attempting to capture the liminal state between sleeping and waking, and that kind of lucid dreaming, hypnagogic, hypnopompic state where it seems like we have access to different levels of consciousness than we normally have in the waking hours. I've done 3 albums as Evan Bartholomew. I ran a little boutique label for a while called Somnia, where we did 777 copies of each release, printed with soy inks on recycled paper, sewed them, sealed them in wax, signed and numbered them. So I did 2 Evan Bartholomew albums for that label, and did a more modern classical, very scored album called Borderlands for a label called Newland Music, which folded shortly after my album came out, which was super fun. I've been doing this, I've been releasing records for 10 years, so I've definitely personally seen a massive decline in the number of record sales, yet the number of fans based on social media metrics and Last.fm and things like this seem to be expanding every year, yet the album sales go down every year. And it's a conversation I've been having with all of my friends that are artists, with label owners. Lots of people are stepping out of the game, labels are folding. I wanted to just address that and give a perspective of kind of what that feels like to dedicate yourself to a particular thing, honing your craft, really focusing on your art, and not see the support, at least financially, back from people with the music. And I tried to be really I just tried to tell my story, like what it was for me, and it was really interesting response. There was a lot of vitriolic and angry people telling me that I was doing it completely wrong, and how dare I be on my high horse and expect to be paid for the music that I make. And it was kind of shocking, actually. Like the prevailing attitude was that all musicians are, driving Rolls Royces and rolling in hookers and blow and gallivanting around the planet. And I had asked for support in creating the solar studio conversion to be in integrity with my power usage around the music, and the response was basically that I was asking people to build me a mansion in the Bahamas, and because really it was eye-opening in a really disconcerting way. In order to survive as a musician, you absolutely have to be on the road, and that's great that people will come to shows, that they do support. However, there used to be a balance in my life between having time to actually make the music I wanted to make, and then going out in tour supporting the music that I wanted to make. These days, it's really exceptionally difficult to carve out enough time to make the kind of records I want to make. So, it's this kind of evolving discussion. It's, we talked a bit today about scoring and things that when you do scoring where people totally appreciate the music and they have budget and they actually pay you for the work that you do. So I've been trying to find a way and a way to engage with the music that actually allows me some time to work on my personal growth, work in a garden, do the other things other than being on the road that matter in my life, and have time to really sink into that creative space and not always be packing my bags again right after I got home, and kind of refine my voice, I guess, and have a window to do that. try to really find ways to engage and interact with the people that have been touched by my music, and find ways to foster community, build community. And we had this idea of doing a logo contest and getting people involved, and it was a really fun project. And the logo that we came up with, way better than what I would have designed myself. And I think it was a success. I'm really happy with the result. I mean, it nailed it. The amount of thought that was put into the design about capturing, if you look at the design, there's actually a masculine and a feminine form, and capturing both currents of that energy. Roommate in my rental house right now has a clothing company called Hex Appeal, and a screen printing shop in the workshop underneath my part of the house. So I was on the road, I was like, hey, can you print a screen? We'll do one-offs each time an order comes in, we'll print a shirt and get them sent out. And so we started that at the beginning of the tour, and then these last 2 weeks I've started seeing people showing up, they got their shirts. Critical Beats is a label that was set up by some friends of mine, Jeremy and Sheena, who are very involved in the Doolab family and Lightning in a Bottle. Kind of as a response to seeing how much energy and finances and just attention is generated from electronic music and festival culture. And they wanted to find a way to, I guess, harness that energy and direct it toward environmental causes that are in desperate and dire need of some attention. So Critical Beats is a way to attempt to engage people in the festival culture with having more awareness around some of the ecological crises that are happening around the planet, specifically because a lot of the environmental rhetoric is very doom and gloom, and I think people on some level feel like there's nothing you can do. The Amazon rainforest is in trouble, the planet is warming up, we're all going to die type of mentality. I think it creates a deer in the headlights phenomenon for people. When you see the data, you see what's happening. So we wanted to create a way to engage people in those causes that was fun. So a record label allows us to release music from artists that people already enjoy, and the funds from the sale of that record, those records, go directly 100%, every penny, to various partners that we work with, Rainforest Action Network, and other people. So actually printed already, waiting for my promo copies, but there's a new Invisible Allies album, which is a project I do with Kilowatts. So that should be out any day now. As soon as I get the thumbs up, I'm going to start the promo and get that one announced and let people know about it. There's a new Bluetech album called Illuminated Spectrums, which we are 95% done with, waiting on cover art and a little bit of editing on the last track and mastering. The plan is to have that released and on the road for February tour as well. That tour will be a release launch for that album. And I've got some other things up my sleeve that I don't want to talk about yet because I haven't decided what the name of them is yet, but I'm definitely working on some other stuff. I don't know if I should promo it because we haven't officially launched it yet, but I am launching a online arts, culture, music, ecology, activism, culture, etc. magazine called Nomad Culture that we're aiming for a December 1st announce date on. It sprang out of this series of posts that I did on my Facebook page that generated so much comment, both positive and negative. The fact that I poked the hornet's nest and actually got people to respond really humbled me and made me realize how much influence that people in entertainment have, and the personal comments that people came up and talked to me at shows, and just seeing how many people were actually listening or responding to the things I had to say made me feel this intense sense of responsibility to use the platform that my music has given me to talk about things that matter, or to extend that platform and allow other people to stand up and talk about things that matter. So I'm working with a friend of mine named Lily Ross, who is a Master's of Divinity at Harvard and worked in the academic community. We've both been talking about publishing, and I had originally thought of kind of expanding from the Facebook and creating a Bluetech blog, but in many ways that's limited and maybe egotistic for me to have my own blog, like, hey, listen to me, this is what I have to say. So my response to the feedback is that I just wanted to create a platform that does allow me to speak my mind, but also gives other people the opportunity to speak their mind, and so much amazing music and art. Another thing I've done with the Facebook page is really feature artists that I've been inspired by. So this magazine is a way to, I guess, create a bigger lens by which to view really interesting things that are happening in culture. Like we're casting the net really, really wide and just trying to find people that are evolving culture in a really holistic and community-based way. So the magazine will be kind of a large overview of here's rad stuff that real people are doing right now, whether it's music or community organizing.